All right. Well, thanks for joining. If you joined, was it yesterday for part one? Yeah, yesterday. Um, of some AI stuff. We did AI builder with some documents. And if you saw my fail, where I was getting a whole bunch, I got about 16 emails from one that I was expecting, and the first ones didn't have the data. And I think what I needed to do, and I did this and that it seemed to resolve, is I added a 2-minute wait, and then I got my simple little email, but it's showing the data, it had captured it. So I think it just takes a moment for the AI builder to process, to capture that information. So take that of note that there might be just and I probably don't need 2 minutes, but I figure that's safe enough, and that kind of confirmed what was going on. So anyway, all right, so let's jump in. If you were, pardon me, if you were here yesterday, you should have downloaded the document already. Otherwise, Kelly's going to get it loaded in just a minute or two here as folks join. It will be, and it's okay if you didn't. We had 3 different exercises in here. We did one of them. This next one is pretty simple. It's pretty short because we're actually using a template. So I'll walk through that first. We've got about 45 minutes here, so I'll walk through that one, and then I'll walk through the donor chat bot, which is pretty fun. I love the Power Virtual Agent. It's pretty cool, and a lot of great opportunities there. So I'm going to jump into this one. So in this example, we're going to use, we thanks for posting all those again, Kelly. So if you didn't join yesterday, there's some gift doc examples that we were using for AI Builder to capture. So if you weren't here and you want to do the first exercise, then download all those. If you were here yesterday, you don't need them again. We're just using the main skills lab. So we're going to look at number 2 here. So this is a mildly complex Power Automate flow that we would use in this case, and to build it from scratch would take a bit of work, a bit of learning. But there's a template that does pretty much what I would like to do in this example. And so we don't have to do a lot of work in this one. If you have access to Teams, my example is Teams. If you want to do something else, that's fine. If you do this example, we're first going to create a team. So wherever your environment is, we would just go to Teams at Microsoft.com. What we're using it for is to write the results of a sentiment review into, I've got the wrong description there. I'm just looking at this lab. What did I do there? Okay, that's a fail. I'm gonna scroll up, ignore that. Pay no attention to the text above my window. So in this text, we're going to create a Power Automate flow to trigger on new emails, scan that sentiment, and write the message to Teams. So if you want to follow along, awesome. I mean, if you want to do this as I walk through it, awesome. If you want to just follow along, that's fine too. It might give you some ideas. So in my example, I'm using this template that will write the sentiment into Teams. It's kind of like a little messaging. Now, if you didn't want to use that, you could send it in an email. You could follow up with the customer. You could notify somebody that there's this problem. You create a task. Especially, you could conditionalize it, and if it's negative, you could notify someone that, hey, we just received an email with some negative sentiment in it. So the first couple steps here, just creating a team, just a spot to put that in. And so I've got that here. And I just created oops, thought I was in there. we've all been doing a lot this week. I may have lost my place here, so. Okay, well, that comes up. And then I just went into Power Automate and I did a new flow, this time from template. And if you search for AI Builder sentiment, there is a template there called Analyze Emails Sentiment with AI Builder and Send Results to Teams. So pretty simple. So if I could just toggle back there, there's my team. If I just go back here, I've already got this built, but this is pretty simple. So I'll just show the steps. New flow from template. And oh, this is the Zoom thing is hiding my, okay, I'll just do sentiment. All right, what am I doing wrong here? Did I misspell that? Oh, yeah, that's right. What's going on? What did I say in the lab to do? AI Builder sentiment. Okay, maybe I follow what I told you to do. All right. Oh my goodness, I am new flow. I closed my template. There we go. Okay. All right, I think I have to go to the full. All right, I think I have to do this in the full. Is that what I said in the lab? Okay, yeah, I told you to go to Power Automate. I should be doing what I told you to do. Okay. I do find that sometimes flows in the Power Apps Maker portal, all the interface there isn't as full and complete as it is in the actual Power Automate Maker portal. So, okay, I'll go to my flows, try that again. There we go. Template. Here we go. Okay. And builder sentiment. There we go. Okay. So you can see there's some others. Notify me on Teams when I receive an email with negative sentiment, analyze sentiment and dynamics emails. So there's a bunch here. Analyze YouTube video descriptions and send to Teams. That doesn't have anything to do with sentiment, but that's kind of cool. All right, so I'm just going to choose this one, analyze email sentiment with AI Builder and send results to Teams. So for instance, if you wanted to do, like there's that other one there, send a notification with the sentiment of manager's email using it. I mean, that's similar. And if your scenario is not exactly one of this is a great place to start, because then it can save you a lot of steps, or at least you can learn how to extract this information. Because this is actually kind of a big flow. So the first thing it's going to do, I'm using Office 365 Outlook. So if you wanted to use, Gmail or something else, that's fine. You would just have to, you'd have to build it from scratch. And so I'm going to continue here. And I'm going to put in the email address at which these are received. And that's actually this one here. There we go. Recipient of the messages in Teams. I'll just use the same email. So now it's doing the connections, building the flow. And so I've actually got it now and it's ready to go, but I'm going to look at it first. So I'll hit edit. And you'll see that it's a little complex. I've already built it. So it named it and then it just put a -2 on the name. Okay, just taking just a moment. So there we go. So when new email arrives, it's just looking at my inbox. Here's, if you wanted to filter based on, whatever, based on the subject, whether it's attachments or not, that sort of thing, who it's going to. I just chose my email address. I'm the only one in this environment. And then you can see all the steps that it's doing. It's initializing a few variables, and then it's detecting the language, and then it has an apply to each here. So in case I guess if it was looking for different languages, it might have a slightly different load. And Nicole's question, yeah, absolutely. It's whatever email you wanted to use. It could be dynamic. So I had put mine in just because it wanted at least an email address. Oh, I'm doing, so Morgan's question there, in my example, I'm the only person in this environment. So I have to pretend it's both, I'm everything. So what it's looking for is to whom it's being received. Who it's from doesn't matter. This is just putting in, so the from is, oh yeah, I guess I didn't need to do that. That's wrong, actually. Thank you for catching that. I want to thank you. So I just wanted to come to this folder. Yeah, you're probably wondering what the heck I was talking about there. I only care about one person's opinion, apparently. Yeah, you're right. Okay, all right. So then, and then the only other thing I did was I just told it where to post. And so it asks for to whom to send it. This could go in as, it's posted as a bot. I could post it in other things. I could post it into Power Apps. I could send it directly to a user. So we have some, yeah, Glenn, great point. Yep. Okay. So now you can see if you wanted to send this somewhere else, you kind of get the makeup of how this is being done. It's using an adapted card, but here's the content. There's the subject, the from, the text sentiment, and so on. So it could be, that could be fine. Then you could capture that information and put it somewhere else. So it's great to learn from the templates. All right, so I'm going to test it out. I'll just open up my email here too, so I can just double check that it works. I'm in the document. Then we have some example text. So I'm just going to copy this and put it into an email. Come on. It's not getting the T. That's okay. I'll type it. Let me just bring up an email. And put that in the body. Okay, that didn't format very well, did it? I guess it doesn't matter a lot, but let's make it at least look good. And it was tax receipt was your subject. So if you can get a friend to email, that obviously that's a lot easier. Let me grab my email address here. Okay. All right. So I've sent the email. I should hear a ding here, I think. Just a second. There it is. So the email came in. And so now I'll go over to Teams. let's monitor the flow, but I think this will go pretty quick. There it comes. Some of these are my testing. Oh yeah, I had one test here where I couldn't even spell Microsoft, so that's why it was undeliverable. Okay, Power Automate sent a card. Here it is, and it said positive sentiment. Not very exciting, but maybe I would probably call that one maybe more neutral, but hard to say. But I think I can kind of give you an idea of how this might look. So our examples in the lab document are kind of nice. So like this next one here, yeah, that's probably going to be positive. So if you wanted to create your own, so like I had sent one that was, let me go back to my email here. In my testing, I'd sent one unrelated to, I just happened to have it. It was damaged product, which I know doesn't necessarily apply to most of you, but, and I put in like, unbelievable. How can I get this replaced? Update me immediately. And it came through as neutral. So I'm very disappointed and likely not to purchase from you again. So we'll see. It's kind of thing to play with. Might give you, some ideas. And of course, anything you do with AI, there's a little bit of learning. So anyway. All right. So that was our second of our three here. So the third one then is, and this one's pretty cool. We might not have time to get through all of this, but you have it as a takeaway. I'll get it started, and then I'll get a new one started, and then I'll show you a finished one to give you a good idea of how this works. So in this case, I just make sure I'm in my right browser session, and then I go to powerva.microsoft.com. If I've never been there before, it's going to ask me to confirm my country. I could start a trial from here, or you could, if you're not able to do this in your environment, you could just create a trial. You'd have a 30-day trial that you could use for free. And I just called it donor bot, and then it takes a minute to complete. And then I go into topics and start by entering phrases. So let me just pull this up. Okay, so I'll just open another. Is there a way to get rid of this little control bar across the top?
You might be able to drag and drop it to another screen.
Okay, or there's hide floating. There we go.
Yeah,
okay,
there you go.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to go to powerva.microsoft.com. So if you haven't been here, then the next step would be you confirm your country, click get started, and then if you probably don't have a bot at this point, so it would probably ask you to create one. So I've already got one started. So if I click on my chatbots, whoops, I'm in the wrong environment. It's in this environment. Okay, there we go. And so I just called it donor bot, and I'll just drill into the one I have and walk through what I built here. I'll skip that. So just a little bit of a tour of what we're looking at here. So here's just an overview, and it's got kind of some help and guidance and documentation, which is cool. And then I click on topics, and there's a bunch of them out of the box. Yep, you can see that authoring on a Copilot is here. And you can see there's a bunch of them out of the box, like goodbye, greetings, start over, thank you, and then some lesson examples on having like conditions and variables and that sort of thing. In this example, we do have a variable. So now my bot's created, and you could start using it right away if you want. So for instance, here's hello, I'm a donor bot. Can I help you? So what's cool here is that you can test it right in line with the creation and prior to publishing. And so I'll click on the one that I created here, event registration. And the first thing I'd done was added phrases. Phrases is a little bit of an art, not an art, but it's a little bit, it'd be a little thoughtful. Sometimes I see where people will have basically the exact same thing said over and over in different ways. And I'm guilty a little bit of that here. My advice is to do things where you use a keyword and a different syntax. So, maybe using it as a verb and then in another phrase, use it as a noun, or use it as a, just kind of say it in a little bit different ways. So I've got, workshop, that's key, conference, because that might be a way someone calls that. So you think about any of the words that might apply. And then also some action too, like register for an event, and you can make it longer, but I find that sometimes the longer your phrase, the actual more exclusive it gets. And then through your testing, through the monitoring that is there out of the box, it'll help you to identify how you might be missing things. So then, excuse me, the idea in the bot is you're basically building out a series. I'm going to close this sidebar so we have a little bit more room here. And then as you go, you just add in components. And a lot of times it's messages or questions and conditions. Those are probably the three most common. In this example, though, we're also we're adding a condition because we're checking the answer of a question. So like, for instance, first we ask a question here, and we're choosing Boolean because here, let me just stick one in so you can see this. So I'm going to say ask a question, and come on. And a question can be looking for a variety of things. It could be looking for options out, like multiple choice. It could be you're going to present it with information. You might present it options from a list. You might look for a specific kind of data, like city, color. One of the options in this example is email. You can also do a lot of things like, capture just text, the whole of their answer, that sort of thing. And then any custom stuff you might want to build, you can do that as well by creating your own entity. Entity, they just mean it's like a kind of a list of information. And then a lot of times what we'll use that for is subsequently you might, so like say you find out who their name is, and then in a subsequent step, you can use that variable to in your subsequent messages, or to pass to something else to maybe sound more human, more personal. And so in this first step, we're looking for the response. I just named it wants to register. And then the next step here is, because I made it a condition, that means, okay, it has to be at least two things. And as far as I did was I just went true or false. And I just went with true here. If it's true, then I do a message and I'm saying, great, I just need to capture some information. And then I ask for, what's your name? Now, in the real world, what you might do is you might ask, okay, what's your, do you have some sort of unique identification? Do you go by email? Do you go by mobile number, or maybe you have an ID that you use to identify who this person is, because obviously if you're going to register them for an event, you need to find out who they are if they're already existing in your database. If they're not, then you could decide, do I still register them? Do I let them know that your registration is pending while we create you in the system or get your approval? So there's all sorts of options in that regard. And then we add another question: what's your email address? And this one, we don't have to do the text, get the entire answer. We can actually ask for a specific type of response, which is email. And then it'll validate that they've entered it as something at something dot something, right? So, tad at, test.org. And then I'm also asking for organization name. So obviously there's lots more you could ask for. There's different things you could ask for, whatever you'd like. And then I say, thank you. You should receive an email shortly. So now this next step, so let me just bring the lab back here and kind of make sure that kind of going okay. And so then I'm saying, so I had Boolean, multiple choice. I called it wants to register. There's also this option, and I didn't show that just a moment ago. There's also this option for usage, whether it's topic, so just within this flow of conversation, or to use broader than that. So, and I'll use topic if I'm just going to keep it within the context of this one thing, this one conversation. But sometimes I might want to send them to another topic. And it depends. It could be that if it's all in a nice nifty flow, that would still work. The limited scope would still work. But in other cases, you might choose global. That I over talked to that, but let's just kind of explain that there. And so then I'm checking on my two sides of the condition, or at the minimum of two sides. I'm saying once the register is true, we're going to do something there. And then all on the false side, all other conditions, topic management, go to another topic. I'm choosing one called goodbye. Now the goodbye one, actually, let me just go over here. I'll go to topics. Yeah, the goodbye one actually has, so this is an out of the box one that you could alter, not use, create your own, whatever. This one is actually checking to see if there's anything else that we can do. So it's not like just a goodbye, gone. So I didn't want to make that sound too abrupt, but and obviously, maybe you want something else, but it's a good example. All right, so just choosing the goodbye one. And then on the true side, this is kind of the point of this exercise. Then I'm just saying, great, let's capture some more information. Immediately followed by a question. And that's where I get into and this is what I was showing. What's your name? And here we have multiple choice. And I always like to change the variable name from var1, var2 to something identifiable. So I do that. First, I get user's entire response. Then I click on the var and I call it username. I mean, you could call it whatever you wanted. And in this case, I chose global. In some circumstances, what this flow actually does, you might not actually have to make it global, because we're going to pass it as a variable into a Power Automate flow, but we'll see. I mean, so sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. And then I ask for their email, and this time I'm choosing an actual email address, and that's where it's capturing that. And then, so we got the user email, and then we ask a question for the organization name. And then we say, thank you. You should receive an email shortly. Now, what we can also do then is we could wait and not say, thank you, she received a confirmation email. We could just wait while a process runs. So now this is probably the slightly tricky part of this particular exercise. It's not 100% intuitive until you do it the first time, and then it kind of makes sense. So we're going to call an action and create a flow. And what that will do is take me into Power Automate, and it's going to say, okay, what variables do you have? And if you were in Ashley, Glen, and mine's session yesterday, we were passing variables into an email from Power Automate. It's kind of a similar concept. We're passing a value in, and then once we've done that, then we go back to the bot, and it now knows what the flow is expecting. So we're going to say we want the email address. We're going to choose an operation, send an email. I'm just choosing the Outlook one because that's what I'm using. Use others if you do. And then I just fill in some information just to make sure I know this works. So here's my so that email variable that I see in the dynamic content is simply because the step before I said we want to get an email address. And then I can also return values back. All I did was typed in test content so that I know this works. And then my result, I can send back as well. And so now I just called it donor bot event email, and I click save. And then I go back to the bot. So let me go back there and show you that. So here I am. Let's see, I'll just do this. I'm not going to actually do this, but I'll just show you. So now when I call an action, now I see that my email flow, that flow is here. So the first time you do it, it feels a little odd because you're going to create a flow and it's asking for things and you build the flow, but at that point you're not yet really connected. So now I go back and I do that same step again, call an action, but now my flow automatically shows up and it wants the values that my flow is telling me to send. So like the email address and the username, it wants all of that. It's getting an error because I haven't filled it out, but I'm going to delete this. But that's what I'm doing there. All right, so I think we're kind of at a spot where I can test this. We got about 10 minutes left. So I'm gonna click on the test your bot way down here in the corner because I closed that. So it's saying, hello, I'm DonorBot. How can I help you? And I'll say, hello, any events? And it comes back with, oops, okay. Workshop. I thought I had event as one of my triggers. There we go. Yeah, okay. We have an upcoming event on June 16th. So, okay, a couple of things. That reminds me, I didn't talk through this. If I go back to the exercise and I scroll down a bit, it's like the end of it. I thought I had, okay, bonus step. Okay. So obviously this is hard coded, which isn't real, but I was just doing it to kind of keep, like if you call this my first bot to go through it. And I'd say, well, update the bot to present a multiple choice list of events. And you could even do it a step further where it looks up the data for you and presents back. And so that way it's kind of always ongoing, right? So it's looking at future events, and maybe you've asked earlier in it, you asked different information about, are you a developer? Are you, what's kind of your role, so that you know that the events you're offering are appropriate. So yeah, so basically I've just hard coded in an event coming up on June 16th. So I'll do this two different ways. I'll do the quick way first. I'll say no. And it comes back and we'll say, would you like to end our conversation? Yeah, you might want to modify that text, but that's just the out of the box one. And if I say no, it says, it's kind of like starting over. And it'll say, go ahead, I'm listening. So just obviously that sort of stuff you'd want to probably tweak a little. Let me clear this and start it again. And so I can go the other way. I'll say any events. We have it on June 16th. Okay, I'll say yes. Okay, what's my name? Whoops, got to click in there. It's email address. What's the organization name? I'm riding the MS 150 in Minnesota this weekend, so I'm going to say MS Society. Oops. Thank you. You'll receive a confirmation email shortly. And I'm going to check my mail over here. There it is. Hello, Ted Thompson. You have been registered for the June 16th event, Blackbaud team. So pretty cool. There's lots of other things that you could be doing. And then I've said, did this answer your question? And I could say yes or no. If I say yes, basically then it goes to the goodbye. If I say no, then I think it does that's what I did was, there we go. Sorry, I wasn't able to help better. Would you like to try again? That's just an out of the box example, but it kind of gives you an idea of the cool stuff you can do. A couple of things I'll show. We've got a few minutes here. So up here in the upper right corner, you see some little icons. One of them is variables. And this is pretty cool. So like if you're going through your testing and for some, maybe something's not working with your variables, you can see the values that you're expecting, and then you can click on the test and it shows, you can see this is what's come through. What did I have undefined? Organization name. Did I skip that one? Oh, I skipped it. No, it's there. What was the first one? Okay, good to know that I didn't have something completely right, but it all worked. And so you can see the responses as they come through, which is pretty cool. You could also see any analytics. It's a little early on this, but you could also evaluate how well is this bot doing. Are you tending to get a lot of no, this didn't answer my question? Are you getting multiple tries to find out what they're asking about? So lots of things there. So this won't be very exciting here at the moment, but kind of cool. So let me go back to the lab, make sure I got everything in the lab. Yeah, so I would say, I did it pretty simple, like, oh, yeah, thanks, Glenn. Yeah. Because then it could say, yeah, oh, thanks, Glenn. How else, then it looks like they're, a little more personal, even though it, the user, they probably know you're a bot, but makes it a little bit easier. Yeah, right. Great. So, okay, it's still coming up. So I've done it 8 times. Average CSAT 5. Oh, there is one of my answers could have brought up somewhere in here. I have in there that you could give them a little, just 1 through 5 star that they score. I haven't done the escalating to a bot. It's not currently, I haven't done that part in here, or escalated to a human. But that is one of the options you could do. It takes a little, depends on what platform you're using. If you're using Microsoft platform, there's functionality for that. Bots you can also embed on a website pretty easily. Oh, in fact, I can show that. So let me hit save here and publish. We'll finish that. And then there's actually a test option right here. Beyond this test, it just makes it look a little bit more real. Finish that and I'll hit, click on chatbots and I'll say publish. Or they go to demo website. I can do that right from here. But depending on what your platform is for your external facing portal, essentially there's a snippet of code that you would put on that site, and it would display your bot. So I'm greatly simplifying that, but it's essentially a snippet of code that you would put on that portal that has the information about this bot, the unique IDs and such. Yeah, so here I am. So it's kind of a website, kind of a portal, and some things you could start with, and I could do that same bit. Yep, so there we go. All right, any questions? We have a couple minutes here. Shameless plug, if you're able, part 3 of the donor app, tile app. Ashley will be leading here in 15 minutes, I think. And so jump into that if you want to kind of finish out that story.
Hey, Ted, this is Rachel in Denver, and I had a quick question about Lab 2 for the email sentiment. So I got that working and everything, and now it's analyzing everything that comes into my inbox, whether it's internal or external. Is there a way to update that flow so that it looks for things like outside of our domain, or does it just need to learn?
Yeah, you can. Let's see, let me get back to that. Well, one short, simple answer is if you don't want to use it, you can simply turn it off. That's obviously not, I mean, that's one thing to do, but yes. So there's conditions that we could add in as to what triggers it. So yeah, let's see. So yeah, yeah, you don't want to have to hard code names in.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking even, so like we do some advocacy work, and sometimes people are upset about a particular thing that we're backing.
Yeah.
So could you even program it kind of like an Outlook rule to look for keywords? Or text subject strings.
Yep, subject filter.
Okay.
You could put words in there, and I think it's semicolon separated.
Okay, that makes sense. And will that search just the subject line of the email, or will it search the body of the email as well?
Yeah, I think that's just looking at the, well, you could, let's see, we could have a different, yeah, right here, it's only the subject. I guess we could have another step prior. Oh, okay, so we could initialize a variable. I'm not going to show it at the moment, but we could do a step like initialize the variable and then look in the content of the body of it, and then shoot. Let's see. I think I can show this. I don't know
And
if
if
anybody-
I may interject, it would be
Yeah,
just
please.
a conditional. If body contains, or even if from address does not contain, for example, blackbaud.com. So that would be one way you can go through and
right.
filter out
Yeah, that's good.
everybody, things. And again, this is where I can't remember if we can do like OData style searches in
Yeah,
the
we
from
can.
address. That makes it
Yeah.
a bit more complicated, but for those of you that have worked with Power Automate in the past, you could do between the when a new email arrives and the HTML to text, you can do a conditional that says if from does not contain, whoever.org, then if it does not contain, it can go through the rest of flow. If it does contain, then you can just kill the flow right there. If that makes sense.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And there's like probably 10 other ways to do it.
Yeah. Yep.
Just like with any language, there's a million ways to say it. So
Yeah.
cool. Well, thanks, Tad. Sorry I won't be around for Ashley's second thing, but I did go through the companion guide and got my
Okay.
donor service tile going. So
All right. Awesome.
it worked great. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Ashley. I don't know if she's on, but well, thanks everyone for joining. I hope this has been a good conference so far for everyone. And there's a little bit more to go, and hope you spent a great benefit. So it's been fun to contribute, and lots of great folks that I've met and worked with. So Jill, anything else?
I think we're ready to hop over to Ashley's session now. So thank you
Great.
so much.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.